Hi guys, so in this video I'm making a long-awaited update or sort of overview of my Dart Frog Vivarium. I've promised quite a few of you to make this review of my Vivarium a while ago, and it has taken me ages to get started on it. So this video will basically consist of two parts. In the first part I will talk about everything you see here, how it was set up, when it was set up, what sort of plants I have inside, what sort of equipment. In the second part of the video I will talk about the challenges of keeping dart frogs from a fish keeper's perspective. If you have been watching my channel, you know that I'm a fish keeper. I'm not really a frog keeper. And initially I was, I've got the second-hand habitat terrarium a while ago, a year and a half ago, and I thought I'll use it to grow various tropical plants in there. And only later I saw that it might be great habitat for dart frogs, so I've added dart frogs. I've had them for about a year now, but let's start with sort of a technical side of the setup. The enclosure is 90 centimeters long, 90 centimeters high, and 45 centimeters deep. And I think it's the largest habitat terrarium that you can find. And I'm saying terrarium because it was sold to me as a second-hand mesh terrarium. So the sides, like these sides here and there, as well as the top, they were mesh, metal mesh. And obviously that's not going to work for most of these plants because they need higher humidity levels than I can sustain in the room. Also, most of amphibians, they also need higher humidity levels. So I replaced mesh with plastic, just a regular acrylic sheets. I've drilled some holes in that top sheet. You can't really see those holes now because everything is covered with plants, but there are some rows of holes that I drilled in the acrylic sheets to create some circulation. In terms of lighting, I have 3 LED lamps in here, quite powerful ones, and I initially had only one lamp, and I realized that it's just not enough for all of these plants, also because this is a deep enclosure, so as we go down there is less and less light reaching the lower parts of this enclosure. So eventually I realized that 3 LED lamps provide the perfect amount of lighting. Some of them are on for about 8 hours, others are on for probably like 12 or maybe 15 hours, I haven't counted. In terms of other pieces of equipment, I have here this water spray system, automatic water spray system. This is nothing fancy, that's probably one of the cheapest ones on the market, but it works great for a year and a half, have no complaints about it. It's loud, but previously I've had sort of a fancier one, probably like 6 times more expensive, but it was also loud, so really no difference for me. In here I've got a fan. This is a regular laptop fan which I've got on Amazon, and previously I had a terrarium fan which only lasted me a couple of months, but this thing is working for probably over a year now. It was like 10 quid on eBay or something like this, and it has more levels of speed than the terrarium one, so I'm very happy with it. So that's it in terms of equipment. I also have here a DIY drainage system, which is an intake from an Eheim external canister filter, which goes all the way to the bottom of the enclosure from somewhere here. It's hidden behind this plant. And I can drain water, excess water from here, but to be honest, as soon as the plants started growing, I don't really have any excess water in here, so I don't even remember when did I drain it last time, because I can't see. Well, there is some water on the bottom, but not much of it. Moving on, talking about plants. I have here quite a collection of bromeliads. Most of them are cultivars, so they're artificially grown. Don't remember exact trade names. It's something like red flame, I can't remember. This is a spider, I think, another red flame, and something else. There are different species, and some of them are thriving, like this one in here. This is okay. Others are not so much. So I realize that bromeliads are relatively high maintenance plants, at least for me. So I'm having a variety levels of success with growing them. There are two species of plants that are obviously dominating everything, and they're really like fast growing plants. One is a Ficus pumila in here, small leaf plant, growing really fast. I have to trim it every week. The other species of ficus, which is absolutely dominant all over the place, is this Ficus sagittata. It's kind of everywhere. This is Ficus sagittata. Oh, that's a leaf that I need to remove, a dry leaf. It's everywhere. So apart from these two species of ficus, I have here Anthurium mini, not doing very well. Some of the other species of ficus, like this, I think this was Ficus sp Colombia. It's a slow grower, which is great. Two other species of ficus, this one here, I don't know the name of it, and this one in here. In here I have here Cryptocorini vendi and Echinodorus argentinensis, and also some Echinodorus over there as well. And a mixture of mosses on the bottom. I have a layer of leaf litter, a mixture of jackfruit leaves and some oak leaves. So when it comes to inhabitants, this is obviously a bioactive setup, and it sort of imitates rainforest setup, Amazon rainforest setup. It has some springtails and some isopods. I think these were orange isopods, and I don't know how many isopods I actually have left because my frogs are feeding on them if they can catch them. So probably some, but springtails are still here. And when it comes to the dart frogs, I have here 6 Philobates terribilis, which are also known as Blackfoot orange terribilis. They are supposed to be, probably, again, don't quote me on that, they're supposed to be the most poisonous amphibia in the wild. The captive bred specimens, and these ones are captive bred, I bought them from a local breeder. They're not poisonous because they have no access to toxins. Normally in the wild they would feed on various insects which contain the toxins, and that's how their own venom or poison is being developed, and that's why they're poisonous in the wild. But in here they don't have any access to that sort of foods, so they have no poison or venom, and they're absolutely harmless. The frogs are about a year old, so they're still young by their standards. They are already calling. I know that I have at least 2 males in here. I can hear their calling from time to time, but they're still sort of young adults, so they still have some growing to do. Well, yeah, that's in terms of frogs. Well, now talking about how hard it is to keep these guys as compared to aquarium fish. Well, first of all, obviously no water changes, no frequent maintenance. So once a week I will trim some of these Ficus sagittata plants because they can grow very actively. No other plants require any maintenance. Occasionally I would spray with water barrel some parts of the setup that don't get enough water from those spray nozzles. Previously I used to drain some excess water. Now I'm not doing that anymore because there is no need for that. So the biggest problem for me, from my perspective, in keeping these guys are feeding them. So they eat only live fruit flies, the largest species, Drosophila hydea. When they were smaller, they would eat smaller species of fruit flies, Melanogaster, but now they only eat Drosophila hydea. You can see them all bunching up and crawling on that piece of banana. I usually add this banana so all of the flies stay put, so they sort of all hang out on the banana, and whenever the frogs are hungry they can pick them up. But once a day I will add new flies, dusted with calcium and some vitamins, because they need dusted flies. These flies have no dust on them, they will shake off their dust after a while, so I need to keep on adding dusted flies, and that they eat dusted flies, which is again a challenge. They're not active hunters. if they see a fly right in front of their nose, they will grab it. If they don't, they not going to move around very much. So from fish keepers' perspective, these are like plecos really. They spend a lot of time sitting in one place. Occasionally they will jump around, which doesn't happen very often, but most of the time they're stationary. Which is probably a challenge for some of the fish keepers if you want something more active, something more engaging. Also, you cannot touch them because their skin is very sensitive, and anything we have on our hands can harm them potentially. So there's no physical contact with these creatures. And the biggest problem, as I've said, are fruit flies. First of all, you can either order them online or you can cultivate them yourself. And obviously I'm trying to cultivate them myself. You can see the dates that I add on every new culture, but that's quite a hassle and that involves quite a lot of work. Culturing them, ordering them online also has its own challenges because everything depends on weather. If you order them in colder weather, they may not arrive alive. If you order them in warmer weather, the same thing. So the weather needs to be perfect to receive them in good condition. When it comes to culturing, I create new culture. This is an old culture and it doesn't look very nice. It's almost, well, there are still some flies in it, but very few. This is, for example, one of the newer cultures that I've created. You can see here larvae crawling all over the space. They will hatch. It takes them about 2 to 3 weeks to hatch, and I mean, if you run out of flies during that period and you don't have enough cultures, then that's a problem. So you have to order. And I find it, I've been keeping frogs for a year now, I find it really hard to estimate whether I will have enough flies. So yeah, the other problem with fruit flies is that they escape. I mean, I've tried my best to make this enclosure fruit fly escape proof, but it doesn't work. I mean, they would find a tiny little cranny, tiny little crack somewhere like in between those two glasses or up top, and they will escape. So we have them everywhere, all over this room, all over our flat. They crawl everywhere. They probably wouldn't survive too long in the conditions of our apartment, but nevertheless they're escaping constantly, which is a nuisance because I don't personally like having insects all over my place. So yeah, that's quite a big challenge for me, the fruit fly aspect, and particularly that you constantly have to culture them and make sure that you have a constant supply of them and that they constantly escape from this enclosure and they're everywhere. So yeah, I like the frogs, I love the setup, but I'm still considering whether the frogs is something right for me and whether I want to keep them long term, specifically because of this, because that's a big challenge for me. So I would say for me as a fish keeper, these guys, especially the food that they require, is harder than to deal with fish. Fish are much more straightforward and easier for me to deal with and to feed them rather than the frogs. Okay, a couple of final words. So, should I recommend you keeping dart frogs? It depends on whether you have a lot of patience with culturing live foods, specifically fruit flies, and whether you can handle having insects pretty much all over your apartment or wherever you live. Yes, if you have some sort of a frog room or frog garage, which is somewhere, I don't know, outside of the place where you live, and you can sort of sacrifice it to having fruit flies crawling all over it, but I guess in that case they're absolutely awesome, wonderful pets. But other than that, well, having a lot of doubts, specifically concerned with fruit fly aspect, but they're absolutely lovely, beautiful pets, entertaining to have if you have patience to sort of wait until they pop up out of their hiding places. Yes, so I hope you like this video. Please leave comments below if you have ever kept dart frogs, or if you have vivariums with other sort of animals in them.